to go back on what you were saying about rebooting the franchise, I think if they do, it will be, again, going back to what HMK was talking about with them evolving the graphics. I think they could do not necessarily a remake, maybe a reimagining of Red and Blue for the NX, to where it starting over with the original 150, or maybe even adding the next 100 from the second generation in there, but giving you this brand new style to where maybe it's still slightly top down like it is in Sun and Moon, or maybe it's a behind the back traditional third person Pokemon game.
They should totally do a traditional one, and they have Monolith Soft behind them. Monolith Soft is owned by Nintendo now. The second part, the people who make Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you guys have played the game, all Nintendo needs to do, not even Nintendo, all Pokemon Company needs to do is make that phone call and get them on board, and we can finally see that grand scale Pokemon game, with the help of Monolith Soft. They can do it. They've done great things with their games, and they're also helping with Breath of the Wild. So I mean, they can do some crazy stuff when it comes to a grand overworld with monsters and creatures teaming in that. And I feel that Xenoblade is like one of the biggest indicators that they are able to do that.
Yeah,
one of the discussions. Go for it.
I was gonna say one thing that I would love to see is, instead of walking in the grass and a Pikachu or Rattata coming out and catching it, if you could see the actual Pokemon. And this is something with Final Fantasy and other RPG games, to where it was you walking around and then a random encounter. But now when you play Final Fantasy, you just see the monsters walking around the world as you do in Xenoblade. So if they did this with the Pokemon series, I think that would be great, especially sort of like with Pokemon Go, to where there's no Pokemon, but you can see grass coming up in the air, and then once you get close, the Pokemon will appear before you actually encounter it. If they did even something like that, to where it wasn't fully fledged Pokemon walking around the world, I think that would be a great way, like that next step in the Pokemon series. And if they do bring the first 150 or 151 Pokemon, instead of just having those Pokemon and none of the others from the other generations, I think it would be smart to go ahead and include pre-evolutions or evolutions of those Pokemon. So where Pikachu hatches from an egg in Pokemon Red, but then later on we find out that Pichu hatches from the egg, and then that evolves into Pikachu. If they go ahead and rewrite that and make those other Pokemon part of the original or the next original first generation, I think that would be the best way to tie it together.
Well, I think something they showed recently with the re-releases of Red, Blue, and Yellow on the Virtual Console was a lot of confusion from younger players in exactly that area, where they go, why isn't there a Pichu? Like, I've got Pichu and Raichu, where's Pichu? And people explaining, oh no, that doesn't exist in Generation 1. And I think one of the biggest parts of the discussion about the Pokemon reboot that's been going on within the Pokemon community is, what if it was like Breath of the Wild? What if it's that art stuff? What if, literally, just instead of Link using his sword to kill people, let's put some Pokemon in his pocket. Let's make all of those wild, creatures and villains. Let's make them Pokemon. He can see them. And, as you're saying, like a reimagining of the original games, maybe it's not a case of building up that world into 3D like they've been doing so far between, like, Ruby and Sapphire and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But maybe it's more of a case of, okay, let's reimagine Kanto. How might it look? It'll probably be a little, it's in some ways the same, but in other ways different. And certain areas that have certain Pokemon, but there's lots of them. Almost like Skyrim in a way, where you go into a dungeon, but that dungeon in particular is filled with a very certain kind of Pokemon that lives there, that you have to deal with and take in the right kind of Pokemon that has the right kind of special, super effective moves and that kind of thing to deal with it. And it would make HMs very different, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely, like, if they went into even near the realms of Zelda Breath of the Wild with Pokemon, I think that would just be the coolest thing. And that's definitely something people have been talking about. And a much larger, more immersive world, a larger world with Pokemon in it.
I think you just pitched my perfect Pokemon game there.
Right?
That's something a lot of people have been talking about and a lot of people want. The only question is then, how do you make that experience, how do you have the same experience of, because a big part of Pokemon is hey, you've got red version, I've got blue version, we meet up in public, we hang out at each other's house, we do our trading, we do our battling. Now, maybe that works with the NX because of the portability, you know. Like, would you take... I guess the question is, if your friend had Pokemon NX and you had Pokemon NX, would you take your console over to their house? Or because they have it, you just play it on that? Like, is there that trading kind of level? Because the big thing about Pokemon is, oh, you have a copy, I have a copy, let's trade, let's battle. That's a big part of the you know, the way it works. So the only question in that kind of 3D space where you've got this large, expansive, immersive world is, how do you incorporate that in a way that isn't just sitting at home with the headset on talking to your friends over the online services?
Right. So, you know, that's the mystery. And, you know, Nintendo's always been one to experiment with things like that. And Pokemon Go is definitely, you know, a nice fruit of that experimentation. So I feel they'll figure out a way to incorporate that, you know, type of social, you know, because the Pokemon was born out of, you know, getting gamers to be social. And they are the ones that pioneered the social gaming market way back when in 1996. So I feel that, you know, they would figure out a way in order to get that right balance of social gaming when it comes. The only way Pokemon knows how to do it, but how would they do it? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, well, hey, I'm Keeper Toby. I have a primarily Pokemon channel. I do Pokemon theories, top 10s, that kind of jazz, but I'm looking to move into Zelda come next year, which is why I thought it'd be a cool idea to reach out to some of you other Zelda tubers and just start talking about more Zelda-y things with you. And yeah, mostly I do theory stuff. I'm really into the lore of video games.
Hey guys, I'm HMK. I like to talk passionately about video games. I love to yell, I love to rant, I love to get people hyped, and I delve a lot into The Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. And like Keeper Toby and Jesse, I am also a theorist. I love to do theories on The Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. So if you like that, you should, you know, give my channel a try. But I also delve into all things Nintendo, a broad scope. But you know, my main focus is my two biggest loves is definitely Zelda and Kingdom Hearts.
I want to thank you all for watching this video. If you liked it, give this video a like and share it with your friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future gaming news, theories, rumors, and discussions. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on how it could be improved. Your feedback is the most important part of bringing the quality of content on this channel to be the best that it can be. I would like to take this time to give a huge thank you to this month's Patreon supporters: Jonathan, The Edge Network, Magic Tech Review, John Frank, and Harris Priest. This video was made possible by supporters on Patreon. If you would also like to support this channel, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse where you can support this channel as well. Rewards vary from having your topic featured on a future discussion, seeing videos early, joining as a guest on a video, shoutouts, and having a custom avatar similar to my own drawn of you to match any video game or anime art style that you would like. Mine is of myself as Link, but you could choose to have yours any way that you would like. Finally, I would like to thank my friends CS Guitar 89 and Gnomo Designs for providing the music and artwork for this video.